Welcome to episode 8 of My Life is Strange Deep Analysis. We're going to go through the rest of this chapter in one big long episode. The first part of this is probably going to be a little bit hollow, so we're going to try and move through it fairly quickly. This part of the episode is not filler exactly, but it doesn't have much tension to it. It serves mostly to tell you that there's going to be a Vortex Club party at some point. It's not really a Halloween party, but it's close. And it gives you a couple of opportunities to learn a little bit more about the various people around here. One of which is Courtney.
Hey, Courtney. Ciao, Max.
If we can get Courtney to like us, we'll have an easy in for that Vortex Club party, and that would be a nice way to lessen the load. So we're going to go ahead and suck up to Courtney.
I'm not anti-soiree. You seem anti-fashion, though. A Vortex Club party has a strict dress code. Do you even have a dress? Sorry, but nice try.
Yep. All right, we're going to go ahead and suck up to her now by lying our ass off. Or at least pretending to be something else. Let's do that poser dance.
Soiree. Really? Oh, like you care. I'm sure the Vortex Club has a dress code. As you can see, I would need your advice on what to wear. Thanks, Max. I didn't think you noticed high fashion.
To be honest, I don't know if Courtney knows anything about high fashion. That is one of the ugliest shirts I've ever seen. Maybe it's just badly executed and it's supposed to be a lot more fashionable than it is. Either way, we now have an invite for the party. Let's go down here. There's David. Ignore him. Don't look at him. Don't look at him.
Max.
Oh, he caught us. This is the conversation where I started to feel like David was going to be a much more important character and had a lot more depth, which is true. He does. But the problem is that we, as Max, don't trust him. David appears to be trying to do the right thing. He appears to be trying to protect the students. He's just bad at it. On the other hand, we don't seem to have any interest in helping him with that. We don't tell him any of the things we know, and we now know a lot. We could at least tell him that Nathan is super dangerous. If we told him what happened to Kate Marsh, then he might be able to help us, or at the very least, we would get a much stronger grip on why he's refusing to help us.
More hell. She's better than that.
But he's clearly on the side of being a good guy. He's not just being abusive for fun or anything like that. He's just suffering from PTSD, and it's pretty clear.
Between us at a pretty bad time. She's another matter entirely.
Kate hasn't done anything wrong.
Max, this isn't just about Kate Marsh. My concern is for the safety of all Blackwell students, including
This
you.
upcoming line is what convinced me I liked David a little bit more than I thought I did.
It will take more than Ms. Grant and her petition to find missing students.
Isn't that your responsibility as head of security? Unless you know something about Rachel Amber that nobody else does.
I don't want to fight with you anymore. I don't want to fight with anyone anymore. That's all, Max.
There it is. So, to me, at this point, it was pretty clear that David was someone we might want to have on our side a lot more sturdily. Or rather, he was already on our side, he's just bad at it. If we told him more about what we knew, he might have been able to prevent some of the deaths that come down later in the show. He is, after all, the only guy in the game, or the only person in the game, with military training and a giant stack of weapons. So it would have been nice to have Max at least vaguely acknowledge the fact that he might be useful. And instead she's like, "You're an asshole, so I'm not going to tell you anything." You know what, though? I didn't much like that conversation. So we're going to teleport past him instead of having it. Bet you didn't know you could do that, did you? Boom. We didn't talk to David. Oh no, what does that mean? So, that's one of the things you can do with this power. Because you stay wherever you were when you rewind time, you can skip past a lot of the quote-unquote key dialogue. The only time that you're actually stuck having a conversation is when you can't go through the door without triggering the end of the scene. Here we got a cute little scene with Warren doing chemistry stuff. We can help him, and it involves talking to him, and then talking to the teacher, and then talking to him, and then talking to Brooke over here. I'm going to skip that whole affair just because it takes a little bit of time, and we don't want to have this be more than 40 minutes long.
Help me? I'm trying, but you have to understand my position.
Why? You don't understand mine. Nobody does. Nobody.
So here we've just seen Jefferson pretty badly ignore poor Kate's situation. And we are not allowed to intervene. We can't talk to Kate or do anything with that, even if we follow her all the way to the door. He doesn't deserve to be talked to
Excuse me,
either.
Max, can you come over here?
Sure.
You look worried. Is everything okay?
Just between you and me, I'm worried about Kate Marsh.
That's no secret. Word on the street is that you and Kate had a little confrontation.
This
with
is
our
the conversation that made me initially pick Jefferson as the person I wanted to really crap on. He's not someone I can respect.
She doesn't.
Upcoming lines really show that pretty clearly, even though he's supposed to be some kind of noble photographer.
Instigated the situation?
My word isn't good enough.
I actually stopped playing here for a while because I did choose to take a picture, and then I rewound time and went the other way, thinking I still had the picture. And I went through like a chapter and a half thinking I had that picture. But really, I guess it's fine. They wanted you to make a choice, and it is a little bit of a plot hole that you can sometimes keep pictures and sometimes can't keep pictures. The reason that that this conversation freaked me out or made me dislike Jefferson isn't that. It's because of his lines here.
What if Kate brought this on herself? She means well, but maybe she doth protest too much. She seems like she's holding back the truth. Have you talked to her?
That's really not what you say about someone who gets gang raped. That's just a really, really, really sleazy thing to say.
She needs friends and support now. I just don't want Kate Marsh to become the next Rachel Amber.
Rachel Amber? What does she have to do with Kate?
With all her missing persons posters around, it's hard not to think of her.
I miss Rachel too. But think about yourself, Max. Principal Wells told me about what you said happened in the bathroom.
It did happen. Nathan.
This is a long conversation which serves to establish Mr. Jefferson's character to us as a player. We're supposed to feel that he's not really on our side. He's very aloof.
Easy to point fingers. If Mr. Madsen claims you might be a pot dealer as he did, should I believe him?
Listen, should I?
Excuse me, Max. Hello? Yes? Hold on. I have to take this, so just go into class and I'll be there soon.
Oh, really? Okay, let's take a look.
Yes.
Who's calling? Who are you talking to?
Uh-huh.
Your wife? Oh, you don't have one? Girlfriend?
Sure, okay.
Boyfriend? Camera dealer?
Listen, I do have a class I have to teach. I have to go.
Come on, give me a hint.
Okay, I'll do that.
Well, you know what? I want to see if we can rewind that conversation as well.
Control.
Just teleport right on past him.
Then right. Show me the love.
How do I look, Taylor?
Here we've got a variety of characters doing a variety of things. We can go over here and take a picture of Alyssa because there's nothing creepy about taking a photo of a lady who gets bullied all the time from behind while she's not looking without asking permission. But I do have one little detail that I'd like to point out. Nathan is right there. That's Nathan.
Pissed we're sitting at her desk.
Oh, I'm sure she'll report us.
Nathan has been in here the whole time and he'll stay in here.
Flying fuck.
So who
She'll run to Mr. Jefferson.
is Mr. Jefferson talking to?
Like anybody does.
Who called Jefferson?
Little.
Shh, I think she can hear us.
I have a feeling that was an oversight because I can't think of anyone else that would call Mr. Jefferson. That plot point hasn't been revealed yet, and it won't be revealed for another 3 episodes, though, so presumably your first time through, you won't catch anything like that. Let's go ahead and open up this conversation. I like the way this conversation unfolds. It feels fairly natural, assuming that 2 of your characters are total jerks.
We were best friends forever or
And
something.
it's blocked pretty well. It just has good delivery to it.
Such an attention.
All around pretty good.
You would know. Can I sit down now?
Oh, please do. Take a selfie of this moment.
This line is
Yeah,
especially
Max. So I won't forget you.
good. Nathan's voice actor isn't quite as good as most of the women on the team, but he pulls some really good lines when he has to. I guess we should probably talk to Daniel, because we want him to be at the party, so we better flatter him a little bit.
Waiting to draw Dana after Hayden gets his paparazzi on.
Notice we
I
teleported.
hope you like the sketch I did a few
Since we're
years ago.
teleporting in and out of these scenes, it seems like it wouldn't have been too hard to put in some very basic blocking, but
Believe it or not,
I guess it's a super minor
embarrassed about
conversation.
People looking at me.
Trust me, I understand. Someday your portrait may hang in the Daniel de Costa wing of the Louvre. With
I've been to the Louvre, and it's enormous. I could easily believe that I overlooked the Daniel DaCosta wing. This class is mostly just making time while this scene unfolds. Where's Kate going? And why is David still taking freaking photographs of her like some horrible pervert?
So wrong and weird.
Well, I'm sure that's not going to lead to anything important. Let's go ahead and doodle. Oh, here comes Warren first. Warren has a really goofy walk.
What up, Max?
Hey, Warren.
I saw Kate earlier and her eyes were puffy.
So they're really setting up the fact that Kate is feeling super bad.
I didn't know what to say and she didn't tell me anything.
Okay, I know you love me, but if you're not in this class, beat it. Everybody else, please sit
Maybe
down.
I'll see
We have
you
a lot
later.
to cover today, and so...
Kate is missing from class, and the corner feels very empty. That screen used to be on, and she used to be facing us, which made Kate feel really there, like she occupied that whole corner of the room.
I guess Kate will miss class now.
Sounds like you're giggling about a video...
So that corner feels a lot more hollow than it would have been if that monitor hadn't been on every other time that Kate was sitting there facing us.
False images of yourself shot out all over the world for people to judge. Usually, people need something to judge, so they never take a good look at themselves. We can thank reality TV for some of that. In the end, we can only blame ourselves for participating.
So we just got an SMS from Chloe, which says, Max, the boss with the gun, marry me, illegal in Oregon for now, fuck that shit, let's elope. Fun thing, if you try and answer that right away, then you'll get yelled at. But if you wait until he turns slightly, like he just did, you can actually talk on your phone all you'd like in class, because time pauses while you are on the
Speaking
phone.
of participation, there are a few souls here who have yet to enter a photo in the contest. Like Max Caulfield, for example. Who I know can't wait to enter, right? I'm sure you read the syllabus.
Notice that he's not standing in the middle of the room. That really does help the room to feel even more empty, like it's got a hole in it. It's fairly well done.
The shadow play that gives photography.
And now he's talking about a term in photography, which is light and dark, which is kind of what this game was aiming for, at least with this chapter.
Although we don't technically see in mine.
But we're not going to get to hear the whole thing, because something is going down.
Not come into my class like that ever again. Listen, everybody remain seated.
Ciao, we're leaving.
Dismissed.
So, this is the scene that the whole chapter was leading up to. Chapter 2 is the life and death of Kate, where we get to decide whether she lives or she dies, based on how much attention we've paid to her over the course of the game.
Kate!
It's overcast and raining, but it doesn't feel over the top because over the course of the day, they've introduced clouds to foreshadow the idea that it would be raining. So it's supported by this rain. The rain and the somber mood worked well together, and they don't feel over the top because they were established ahead of time, or foreshadowed.
She can't die. She can't.
All right. So I've said several times that the powers in games like these and movies and such, the powers arise from within. Then they reflect your own personal challenges and your own personal conflicts. So it comes to pass that when your personal conflicts rise up and begin to boil, your power also rises up and begins to boil. Normally, this can happen in a lot of different ways. Whatever makes the internal struggle more obvious, more powerful, that's what your power should do. And in this case, the power is going to malfunction. It's going to malfunction in just the right way to give us a chance to overcome our own weakness and make a difference to somebody.
Keep going, Max. You can do it.
This is a cool scene with the frozen raindrops. Makes very, very good use of the rain, which, as well as supporting the mood of the scene, also becomes quite beautiful when you freeze it in midair. In addition, one of the things that you may have noticed is that Max is talking to herself a lot in this chapter. That's a pretty common trope. If you have some complex situation, you make your main character someone that talks to themselves, and whenever you need any kind of information, you just tap into their internal monologue and let them narrate for you. There's David doing his best, but we're a little bit faster than him. So here we are on the roof, and now that the power has given us the chance to do what we want to do, it's going to abandon us and require that we do it on our own. This is a pretty typical way to make this happen. You make the power support and frame your internal struggle, but not solve it. So you still have to tackle this on your own. And this is pretty well done. Since we no longer have the ability to rewind time, this conversation feels a lot more high stakes than the rest of the conversations in the game. Of course, you can still just reload from a previous checkpoint, but it still feels really high tension, and it's pretty well done. In addition, this scene fits very well within the framework of the overall arc of the chapter. It fits thematically, the mood fits, the pacing fits. Unfortunately, the dialogue is really bad. Max is pretty much the worst person to ever try and convince someone not to jump. And to a large extent, that's because the devs created one overarching structure that had to fit in all the various choices you could have made. And so they just went through and said, okay, well, we got choices 1 through 8, just slot them in one at a time, whichever direction the player did something. It doesn't matter if they get choppy and don't make sense and are emotionally irrelevant, or if we accidentally tell her that everyone hates her except for us, which is what we do right now.
You matter, and not just to me.
I do want to believe that.
Kate, your life is still yours, and we can get through this together. Let me help, like I helped by erasing all that crap people wrote on your room slate.
Because everyone hates you, but not me. Well,
That makes me feel
the
better.
fact that it's so strongly structured thematically and within the structure of the episode makes up for a lot of the poor dialogue, and of course the delivery of the voice actress of Kate is very good. So that's a big help.
Of course I worry. You're my friend, Kate.
I did feel better talking to you on the phone. I always feel like you really listen.
Kate, please trust
Just
me.
listing back all the things we did rather than actually trying to convince her to get down from the roof.
I know I can. This morning I erased the web link to the video.
You know, the one that everyone
Right in the
hates you
shower
left.
room mirror.
Are you serious? Thank you so much. The fact that you don't care about that video and would come up here to stop me means a lot.
Here's another missed line.
I care about you because I believe you were drugged.
That's not why you care about
We'll
her.
find
That's
out who
two
did this
separate
and make
statements.
them pay.
You sound
Whatever.
so persuasive, Max. If only.
Kate, I believe you. Will you believe me? Please, you don't have to do this.
Max, I'm in a nightmare and I
This
can't
next section's
wake
pretty
up.
well done. This monologue fits pretty well into her character and into the scene.
Then everybody at Blackwell can post pics of my body. I'm already on the internet forever. No wonder they call it a web. Nothing can ever get out. Like my video. I wish I could go back in time and erase
There's a
that.
thematic callback there.
Kate, this is our chance to beat the bullies. That's the only way we can win against them.
Can we really, Max? I don't believe in miracles anymore either.
Now I do. You're part of the reason why.
The other part of the reason why is because I'm a walking miracle.
I can tell you more.
You're such a good person, Max.
All right,
Even
good.
if you're
So we've
full
convinced her to come down, and this chapter is going to go off to the ending sequence. We're not going to have to worry about this anymore. We're just going to pull her down off the roof and
Can
go
we hug
on.
it?
No. Nobody
Or
cares about
not.
me. Nobody.
As I said, you only have one progression. And so even if you did a lot of things well, they still have to have that last minute turn so that you can stamp out the rest of the sequence. Even if it feels really unnatural. Now this can go a lot of different ways, and the first time you go through it, it's usually extremely tense. She'll do things like take a step back towards the edge and stuff like that.
She'd also have the best smile
It's
ever.
very well done, aside from some of the dialogue missteps. Also, this next part is really good.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
What are you talking about? You saved me from talking in class.
So, once someone goes through their personal arc and their personality changes a little bit, it's common to have a callback to something that would have been in character for them before, as a kind of ironic callback. And that's exactly what they did here, and it fits very well. I paused the game because it cuts off too fast and almost immediately moves into another scene. I probably would have left it there for another 3 seconds or so. Either way, we are now swept off to the ending sequence of this chapter, which is a conversation with the principal.
But I'm so proud of the way Blackwell pulled together to save a young girl's life.
This principal's office is being shown to us in detail, and the first time I was like, oh, I wonder why they modeled the principal's office in such detail. Oh, it's because you see it again.
Yeah, real hero.
As principal of Blackwell Academy, I take my duties seriously. I take the well-being of every student more seriously.
Really?
What happened today should never happen in a hall of wisdom and knowledge. Mr. Madsen, as our head of security here, those roof doors should always be locked.
Yeah, it's still a question. Why were they unlocked? There was no reason for them to be unlocked. It's never explained in the game. Well, minor detail.
Mr. Jefferson?
So there have been 1,000 of these desk conversations before in movies all over the globe, and there have been a ton of people that have made the most fantastic staging of them. And unfortunately, they dropped the ball here. They did not stage this anywhere near well enough. There's nowhere near good enough blocking. It's not an easy thing to block out a conversation like this, but it's absolutely critical.
Miss Coffee, why exactly were
The fact that you can choose any of those three guys as a target for inquiry does mean that the blocking would have been a little bit more complex. But let's just talk for a little bit here about how this blocking could have gone. I think the very first thing I would have done is I wouldn't have had Nathan sitting down. I would have had him standing behind the chair with his hands on the back of the chair. And the reason for that is because you can use the same blocking techniques for all three of the potential targets, and you can only do that if Nathan is standing up. You can have them move forward, move backwards, turn slightly one way or another. Those are very simple blocking techniques that they could have used to make this scene a lot more interesting to look at. In addition, having more props in play might have been valuable. With that out of the way, let's talk about the actual situation here. All four of these guys are villains in some way or another. However, most people choose Nathan because Nathan is the one that directly hurt Kate. I chose Mr. Jefferson the first time because I thought the principal was asking me why I followed Kate to the roof, and the answer to that is because I saw Mr. Jefferson drive her away, so she was sobbing and running, and I figured that was probably a bad sign. But what he's actually asking is, who do you want to punish? And I think something like 90% of people chose Nathan, so let's go ahead and choose Nathan ourselves.
All I know is that Kate was at a party and Nathan dosed her.
The blocking we do get is relatively good for two people that are seated at a desk, but it could have been a lot better if Nathan was standing up and could move forward and backwards. The voice actor here does an excellent job of Nathan.
You told
Pretty well
Kate
done.
You took her to the emergency room.
I said I was going to take her to the ER. She sobered up eventually.
Bullshit. Something happened to her and you know it. How about we talk about you waving a gun in the girls'
Hey,
bathroom?
that's total slander. I could sue you and this school so fast. I already have a personal lawyer.
Careful, Mr. Prescott. I have been told of this alleged gun incident, and I have to admit that the video in question was sent to me by multiple sources.
Including me.
I like that moment.
And since Mr.
Tries to show us that David
Prescott
is on our
does
side.
in the video and was responsible for the party, I have no choice but to suspend him until further notice.
Whatever. See you in court.
I would have had him stalk out of the office at that
I
point.
think Max and Nathan need a break before we grill them further. A friend and student just tried to kill herself. They don't need this forum right now.
Yes, I'm kind of devastated right now. I'd like to be with my family.
All right, Miss Caulfield, please sign here to confirm what you've told us. I'll continue this investigation from there.
The principal doesn't have much bling on, just a gold watch and a gold ring. But do you notice that every time he hands us something, it's right there in the front frame? And I think that was done specifically to make us feel like the principal was a little corrupt. Overall, episode 2 of this game was the Kate Marsh episode. And it was one of the weaker episodes, but it wasn't too bad. It had some good moments. And the writing was although the actual dialogue was up and down, the pacing was really good, and the overall progression was nice.
So thank you for coming in.
However, if you're going to write a scene like this around a desk, study some of the greats and make sure that you understand how you might be able to stage it so that you can keep driving the eye of the audience. This is great cinematography here. I really like the way that this looks throughout. The conversation itself feels a little forced, but Warren is kind of a little forced, so that makes sense.
Slow motion as I grabbed her hand. And then I could feel her grabbing mine.
Max, that was the greatest thing I've ever seen. Ever! You reached out, she reached out, hugs, tears, applause. Like a superhero.
Not quite. Look at me. I'm a mess.
You're glowing. Seriously, a human halo. I'm pretty sure you earned your wings today.
I'm still worried about
So there's going to be an ending song coming up, and we're going to be skipping it. It's called Mount Washington by the local natives, and it's so heavily policed on YouTube that the companies, the 6 companies that lodge copyright claims against it, will actually cancel your fair use claim without observing the video. The original version of this has 0 views, and they still rejected the copyright claim. So we're not going to hear it, and fuck them.